You've been on the planet for a few days now, and you've met some interesting folks. Humans, droids, Wookiees, even a hut. And the planet's poor are suffering from a disease, but luckily, you've put together the antidote. And now you face a choice. You can either give the antidote to the local clinic who will distribute it free of charge to the poor, or you can sell it to a shady businesswoman for a handsome profit. The scenario I've just described comes out of one of my favorite video games. Set 4,000 years before Luke, Leia, Han, and Chewie. I see nods. This is great. You assume the role of a nameless soldier, scoundrel, or spy, and it's your choice how to build that character into a shining beacon of intergalactic peace and justice, or into a powerful, merciless master of the dark side. In role-playing games like this, there's no right way to play. You get equally rewarded, more or less, if you give the antidote to the clinic or to the shady businesswoman. The only thing that stays the same is the difficulty, is the challenge, is the frustration. And I am one that believes in working through those challenges and those frustrations to get to that next level, to level up, to improve, to get over the next hill. I value both that struggle and the view from the top. There was painfully little to occupy the mind of a hyperactive preteen in the rural Ohio Rust Belt single stoplight agri-village where I grew up. In my early teens, time spent at the local pool was uncomfortably formative. Because while my peers were growing pecs, I was not. And while the coolly air-conditioned library was equally formative, it was no place for an outgoing, energetic explorer to spend a summer. So I acquired a map of our county, and with my trusty compass, inscribed 5, 10, and 20 radii circles around my village. And then I set out on my 10-speed. I would eventually visit all of the other little dots on that map, accompanied only by my thoughts, the smell of field and livestock, the mid-July sun, and an occasional truck or tractor. Straight as an arrow, mile after mile, up and down, on to all of the other little villages like mine. I'd ride around their small town, look in their store, get a slug of water at their baseball diamond or their library. Those were usually air-conditioned. I like the libraries. Then I'd ride home and I would insert a small colored pin marking the goal I'd just accomplished. And I believe that life can be understood as an ever-expanding map full of hills to climb, roads to follow, and villages to visit. The sun will often be on your back and you'll sweat. You'll work and you'll often be alone. But that's what's needed to reach the next goal, the next small vista to see what the world looks like. Finishing that classic novel is a vista. Finishing the housework is a vista. And leveling up in a video game is a vista. So now that I've laid out my fairly obvious metaphor, how will I expand on it? Well, with 3 clear subpoints, of course. This is just what I tell my 101 students. First, the journey. Second, the map. And third, the method. The journey you choose I see as a journey of improvement, not just for yourself, but for those around you, because I believe that by going further on your map in one direction or another, you become better than you were before the journey began. To see more of a map is intrinsically better than seeing less. And home can be an awfully comfortable prison. It's all too easy to sit back and allow the world to be delivered to us in the form of blazing fast internet speeds, in the form of status updates, in the form of breaking news headlines. And while I appreciate the news that's delivered to me, I appreciate being in the know, and yes, that baby is cute, I believe that there is a difference between delivery and discovery. In a journey, you are delivered very little, but you discover much. Discovery comes at the internal urgings of drive. It's the drive to get up the next hill that presses you on. Because without drive, I believe that there's very little that anyone else can do for you. And without self-motivation, can anyone become their truest self to make real the longings and urgings of their heart? It was the mockery of my classmates that drove me from the Bloomville public pool, but it was my own drive that set me in motion beyond those 4 rusty corporation limit signs. So, once you have decided to journey, the next thing that you're going to need is a good map. The map of Seneca County, Ohio, had a prominent place in my teenage bedroom. The circles I drew, the pins I inserted were small reminders of important accomplishments, or at least what I considered at the time to be important accomplishments. What's more, they showed me not only where I had been, but how far I had yet to go. Putting a pin in that map felt the same as writing my first song for the guitar. It felt the same as building strawberry cages for my wife's garden. It felt the same. I lost my place. Feels the same as leveling up. You know, in Knights of the Old Republic, where you get that second heal spell, and it will heal not just you, but the other people in your party. Chris, thank you thank you much, Chris. I love you. If the map is your life, the towns are accomplishments, abilities, skills, talents, and goals. We heard a similar perspective to this a few weeks ago on Graduation Sunday when Jason shared words with us from Matthew Cockram, where Matthew suggested there was a difference between infinite games and finite games, and that to rack up accolades, to rack up titles and successes are finite games that will constrain or limit, or can constrain or limit. And as much as I love Matthew, I'm going to have to disagree. I believe that titles and successes are pins in the map. They can remind you and others where you've been and what you've accomplished, and perhaps more importantly, they show you how far you've yet to go. It's easy to feel like you've done it all and seen it all when your map is just of Seneca County, or Kent County, or I dare say the whole United States. But expand your map further, and I believe that you will find that there's plenty out there left to inspire you, to drive you to the next vista, and to continue exploring the mysterious unknown.